Hello, and welcome to the filmmaking podcast. Oh, what a great start. Yes, hello, and welcome to the White Deer Filmmaking Podcast. Today, you are listening to myself, Mark, and...
myself, Alistair.
Yes, and we are speaking today to a power couple of sorts. We have Rodeo and Daniel Strange, who are the creators behind the film The Great Charade, which, if you get a chance to see it, thoroughly recommend it. It is...
Gripping,
very memorable,
yes.
For many reasons, really. Narratively, stylistically, great acting performances, great direction choices, and like you point out to them in the interview, all mainly set in one location.
Which
very,
is a credit to them.
Yeah,
credit to them that they kept the story so engaging throughout. It was great.
Pleasure speaking to them. They're very nice, and one thing which you immediately get is the fun nature that they have, which they create on the set. You can definitely feel that. I mean, they tell us that they create that atmosphere, but well, it's clear when speaking to them. It's so easily done, and really good. Yeah.
I guess we're gonna like this one.
I think so. So make sure to stick around till the end for the code, and just enjoy. So, do you mind both just telling us just quickly who you are and what your film is about?
Do you want to go first?
Okay, so I'm Dan, and this is Rodeo, and we co-wrote, co-produced, and co-directed The Great Charade.
Yeah.
Excellent. And could you give a brief synopsis of the film to give a context to everybody?
Yeah, sure. So it's basically a psychological thriller in which the world's two most famous actors are kidnapped by their fans, and it's kind of about the difference between who they actually are and who they kind of portray to the media and that kind of thing. So it's suitably grim and grisly. It did turn out a bit more comedic than we thought it would initially. That's all down to the actors, but so it makes it a bit hard to pin down. It's a weird one, in short.
So what was the sort of inspiration for making this film? Where did the original concept come from?
So that was you at first, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when we were going to... I can't even remember where we were going. Somewhere in Oxford, because I remember I was thinking of it and I ended up going around the roundabout twice because I didn't pay attention to where the exit was. And we were listening to I Can't Decide by the Scissor Sisters. Just came on the radio. And I said, that'd be a cool idea to have a whole film debate based on the main character debating whether he's going to kill his captives. And then Rodeo said something else, and then it just spiraled out from there, and we ended up with
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very atmospheric film, and a film told in pretty much one location as well, which is a credit to you guys for keeping us engaged. You know, throughout for a feature length film. You know, it's quite a challenge to keep your audience engaged for that length of time when it's in one location. So, I mean, did you have a particular style that you kind of wanted to bring forward? You know, when you were telling the story, was there a specific set of techniques you used to keep it engaging?
I suppose we kind of watched Seven quite a lot beforehand, so we knew we wanted something with that kind of feel to it. But then, obviously, because it's a different setting, obviously it's only the one location, we kind of wanted to bring that into a much smaller scale. So I suppose we looked at a couple of other films that had done that, and we knew we didn't want to do something like Lock, because we both didn't really enjoy that film. So I think we just watched a few other things, tried to kind of see what worked, see what didn't, and go from there.
Yeah.
And how did you find like your partnership together? So obviously you did a lot of you co-did a lot of things, like co-directed, co-wrote the project. Is that something that you're very used to from other projects, or is that something that was definitely tested on this film, or is it something that is just natural to you? Because it is quite an unusual setup, but I mean it paid off because the film is great. So
yeah, that's quite an interesting one, because we first started like at university. You directed a short film, and I was just in charge of the sound.
Yeah, and you didn't want to work with me at all at first.
No, not one bit. I got to a point where I was like, I've had it doing sound on set. I'm not interested anymore. I just want to be in the studio now. But I said, yeah, all right, I'll do this one last one.
I wore him down until he agreed.
Yeah, and then, yeah. But, yeah, so I ended up doing the sound on that one. And you were directing. But then there was some other stuff that sort of, just like little things that needed doing, so I ended up doing those while you were busy doing something else. And then on the next one, it was a similar sort of thing, and then I think I gradually got more involved as we went on down the projects. Yeah,
because for a while we did a few projects where Dan was ADing. We kind of ended up getting together and moving in together and setting up a studio together within like a week.
Yeah.
Well, we knew each other a little bit before that, but we did all of those things within 1 week. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think we're just used to annoying each other and putting up with each other and having fun.
But on this one, I think while we were shooting the film, I spent most of my time with Sam Ashby, who was part of the camera department.
Yeah.
And you spent most of your time with Will.
Yeah.
Who was the other half of the camera department, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite a nice set, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, we were laughing all the way.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a sign of a good team. And usually, if you're all getting on really well, then you're usually all there to get the most out of the project. But also, that you're all really trying. So why not have fun doing it? It's the reason why filmmaking is such a fun industry, is because you can just have a good laugh, because you are doing some very silly things, especially a lot of the actors do end up doing some very silly things, so you need something to you need to know that you're in an environment where you can do that and be comfortable. So it's really good to hear that you managed to create that environment, and that goes down to you guys as part of the producing team as well. So
there was one morning that it got ridiculous. I think to film it ended up being like a few seconds in the film.
Yeah.
It took us, what was it, like 3.5 hours?
It was a while, because we were doing night shoots as well. The whole thing was night shoots, because the location was part of like an industrial park. So obviously it was really noisy in the daytime. So I think we'd get in at 5 p.m, say good morning, have breakfast, and then we'd end up going home by about 6ish.
Yeah, by about 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 p.m. or so.
Yeah. We were trying to record it was only a couple of lines, but it was about 3.5 hours it took us, because we were all just laughing so much, and by that point in the morning as well, we were so tired. The sort of tired, stupid laughter came in.
Oh yeah.
And just couldn't stop.
You had Candice, who played Dixie. She was just like dancing right off screen, just in front of the other actors, and it was something. Yeah, it was a really good laugh.
It was.
So how much did you meet your cast and crew before? So have you worked with, you might have said earlier, a fair few of your crew members before, and obviously with the cast all new, and how was it that you created such a nice environment? Was it something you did intentionally, or was it just happened and
just Stockholm syndrome? We kidnapped them and just until they liked us. No, it was
just like the film.
Yeah. Based on real events. No, I think we met most of the crew through previous projects. So I think there were only 2 that we hadn't worked with before, and that was Max Richards, who was on sound, and Lacey Sanderford, who was doing continuity. And they were both brilliant. I mean, everyone was great. But we'd worked with them for other projects before, and then the cast as well. we'd worked with
Riccardo Francesca. We've
Yeah.
worked with on like corporate stuff, and then Candice creative stuff mainly, and then Marcus was the only one we hadn't worked with before, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we had a bit of trouble casting the role of Lyle actually, because we knew exactly who we wanted to play the other three characters, because we'd worked with them before and we just kind of thought they'd be pretty great. But we couldn't find anyone who was weird enough to be Lyle. So I think we ended up with about 40 auditions that were kind of not quite right but had potential. But we ended up, I think Francesca, who played Amara, she actually recommended Marcus because she'd just worked with him on something else. So we auditioned him and it ended up kind of working really nicely.
Excellent. Well, it's quite interesting because we've also worked with Francesca.
Oh, nice.
And in a very different style of film, very different. So, very interesting watching her in this, and just a pleasure to work with her. And it's nice. It's just nice to see people in other projects, and she's very talented. So, and it shows because obviously she did a great job in this.
I think. Marcus was a particular standout for me watching the film. I thought that the Lyle character was very well written, very well performed. I think he was really brought a presence to the film that was quite unnerving. Was that kind of the road you were going down, sort of having him sort of being quite a uncomfortable, unnerving presence on set? The real kind of unhinged kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, Marcus really did take that character into his own. I think we wrote it with a certain sort of image in mind, but he took it and he sort of built on it and twisted it a little bit into something much
weirder.
Yeah.
Because I said before we were watching Seven quite a lot when we were thinking about it, and we kind of took a bit of influence from Buffalo Bill, because he's kind of, the weird thing about Buffalo Bill is he's kind of quite prissy, and we kind of wanted to carry that through, because I think that's the more uncomfortable thing, I think. So we kind of worked that together, but then with all the kind of weird psychological stuff going on underneath and the kind of power complex that we wanted to put in. So we had quite a long conversation with Marcus about it. Had a nice cup of tea with him and sat down and went through it. And because he comes from a theatre as well, he kind of really made it his own and made it a lot more kind of big and theatrical, which was nice, because I think Lyle needs that really. He's a weirdo.
Well, I think it suits because like the whole film has such quite a iconic style really, and even in some like the behind the scenes photos that you guys sent to us or submitted, the ones that we have, they're just very characterful, and I think that shows like just the whole film has a lot of character going with it, and the trailer as well. Instantly when I watched the trailer, it was like it just grabs your attention, and you know that it's going to be very weird, and I mean that in a complimentary way. Weird, wonderful, and just different, which is something you haven't seen before, which I think is so difficult to stand out in today's filmmaking world, because everyone can really have a go at it in even on a phone. Making something that stands out is something which is really, really worth going for, and I think you guys did it really well. Just the colour schemes that you chose to use, and I think that actually, maybe with the use of one location as well, the sort of the inventive way that you chose to do things, or however it came across that way, really helped to make that one location really stand out and pop. And I wonder if you could maybe talk a little bit about some choices there, maybe how you decided to go with some of the colours that you chose, or that how you sort of built that kind of setup where that was a possibility, that style that you chose to use. Is it something which you always had envisioned? I know you said a few things changed in regards to how the film ended up, but was it something that you had an idea of initially?
We discussed that in quite great length, because we actually had access to the location for quite a while beforehand. So we were able to go in and mess with it and put stuff all over the walls for quite a while leading up to the shoot. So I think it evolved quite a lot throughout that as well. We wanted it very much to be this kind of weird, like industrial location that Lyle had rented or kind of come upon himself, and then he could then decorate it and make it his little lair. Which is why you have like the statue of David and random photos hung up on the walls and like the drapes and everything. So we kind of just wanted it to be like Lyle spewed out onto the walls. And then there was a lot of warm tones as well. I think we didn't want it to be too cold. We put a lot of pinks and warmish colours in. I'm sure there was a reason for that.
I'd be curious to know actually some of the dialogue that occurs throughout the film, especially like the character of Dixie as well, when she's delivering that monologue. Was a lot of it scripted, or was there elements of improvisation going on throughout this film?
There was definitely elements of improvisation, but that's why working with Candice, for example, is so great, and it's such a pleasure, because she'll think of an idea just before we're going to start, and you know that if she thinks of an idea, or any of the cast that we worked with think of an idea, you know it's going to be worth listening to. So I'd say, well, yeah, you might as well do it. If we don't like it, then we can do another take. So she would memorise the script to a point, and then insert whatever she thought of, and then carry on with the script. And it just she sort of rewrote little bits as we went on, and then Ricardo did, Francesca did.
I mean, even like the makeup department did. It was a very collaborative shoot. I think we kind of encouraged everyone to, if anyone had an idea, speak up, and you know, it would either get used or it wouldn't, but there was no shame in throwing in ideas. The monologue was an interesting one though, because I mean that was like 3 pages of script or something. So I mean, kudos to Candice for that. I would struggle with that myself. But no, she did an amazing job. I think that more improvisation was done on the wedding scene actually. She completely made that her, and like, we thought it was going to be a bit somber and grim, like her just being dead and delivering the lines, because she was dead, but she brought so much life to it.
It got to a point that's the bit that we were filming for 3.5 hours, just a couple of lines of that, and it got to a point where I think she said, what's next in the script, and we were like, we don't give a fuck. This is just hilarious. Just keep going. We're going to keep filming.
Yeah, you had the whole crew sat around like the edges of the room, just like suppressing laughter the whole way through.
You had people with like sort of their hands in their mouth, and
I mean that was you. You weren't even next to the camera. You were off in the corner, like eating your fist.
It sounds like an amazing set to be on. What was the production time? How many days were you doing it for?
7, wasn't it?
6, I think. Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that we found is that it is right. The more you can sort of give power to actors and everyone, more power to that, because everyone has their own ideas and their specialisms. So why not let them explore it and do it? But obviously you've got to stick to a schedule of sorts, because obviously you don't make the film otherwise. Were there any like sort of difficulties with that? You know, with over experimentation, or did it all just? Well, it sounds like it all worked out pretty well. But were there any things that you were like, any times where as producers you felt, right, come on guys, we can't afford to have another day because we're trying to get some great stuff here, but we need to stick to this schedule. Was there any conflict there, or did it all work out really well?
It wasn't a problem with experimentation, because we scheduled really generously to allow for that. The dinner scene was the one where we had to get it in like 1 take each time for each angle. That was a struggle.
Because obviously there's certain things that happen, and we only have so much roast beef to get through. We only have so many potatoes to ramming Francesca's face and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's really difficult to get roast potatoes anywhere. So we only had one take for that one. That was only
because the wine spilling as well. We had a finite amount of wine, but we had a very, very finite amount of napkins and things that we could spill stuff on. So it was like, okay, you have to spill this wine perfectly in exactly the right place using your face.
And costumes as well, don't forget as well.
Yeah. So we had a couple of costumes. We weren't just like wear the same shit for days on end.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a couple of changes, but we did have to put mashed potato on all of them then.
We had to on Francesca's we had to match the throw up between each change of top, I suppose.
More potato here, a bit of blood there, sick everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, she goes through a fair few things, and I remember on the film that we did with her, she had a few interesting things on her outfits, like blood and things like. So yeah, well practiced.
Is there the sort of possible message behind the film? Is there sort of like an underlying theme you guys were looking to explore with this film?
I think it was mainly just the fact that everyone's so different to how they kind of portray themselves on the surface. Mm-hmm. So I think we both kind of hate social media just a little bit. We find it really annoying. And it's always, you only see the good things on social media. So on Facebook, no one posts saying, I'm feeling really fat and insecure. They're always like, I'm living my best life. I hate that phrase so much. But so it's kind of more about the fact that below the surface, there's always kind of darkness.
But the big thing about the film was it's not just on social media anymore. That has crept into everyday life. And a lot of the time you can spend prolonged amounts of periods with certain people or in certain groups, and you don't have a clue who they are. Even after like a year of being friends with them, you still I still don't have a clue who you are. And that's definitely one of the themes that came across in the film.
Yeah.
However, people have picked out other themes in the film. And if they do that, I'm not going to deny that we didn't think of that. Definitely go in for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd sort of love a bit of a spoiler alert and everything here, but at the end with the when the two actors, it's kind of come to a conclusion and they're having that final discussion at the end. It's almost like they've switched personas very suddenly.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a real kind of, it feeds into nicely what you've just said. It's everyone has a false front that they're willing to portray to the public.
Yeah.
Everything that people want them to believe, when secretly there was much more underlying cause behind that.
What did you think of the music for that bit? Just out of interest.
Ooh.
It's rubbish.
I think I'd say it kind of fit what it was kind of trying to get across at the end there, I would say. Do you know what I mean?
Good. I mean, I absolutely loved it when I finished playing it.
One of the things that we've sort of been thinking about is that it's amazing how much, and we had a conversation with a composer a few weeks ago on the podcast, Jonathan, and just me and Adam were just talking to him, and it's just amazing how many things can be added by music and how much you can change a scene or enhance a scene and so much. How did you go about choosing the music for that piece or having it created? How was that the decision-making process there?
Fight Club. I watch Fight Club mainly for that ending scene. When everything comes down and you get is it
the Pixies?
The Pixies
The
playing
Pixies.
over.
Where is my mind?
Yeah. Brilliant song.
And it was just I wanted to have that, because I was the one that, well, we both wrote the music, and then I wrote the songs, the individual, like the 70s porn track and stuff. Wrote that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that sort of big feeling of, oh shit, that just happened. And that's what we were going for with the music, I think.
Yeah, I mean the music was quite fun to produce throughout because, Dan's a guitarist, so he did the good bits, and I played a wok and a Coke can, and I think whenever we do music together, you kind of do the bulk of it, and then I say no, it needs to be more. Or I just that's my input. But I think together we end up making some quite cool stuff, I think.
Yeah.
It's a very useful set of skills to have because it's well, it's really hard to convey what you want to someone that sometimes comes in at the very end, and you'll have to I want it like this with these instruments. Now go away and do it perfectly on something which they have very little information or maybe loads, and maybe it's too much. So for you guys to have those skill sets, very useful. Right. Well, we've talked about the film, and it sounds like a very fun set to be on, and it comes through really nicely. But just a bit more about what your plans are for the future with the film. I mean, is it? Do you see it going any further? Often the times when a film is made and it's a short film, there could be plans for it to be a feature. Obviously, this is a feature. Is it something you want to come back to? Maybe a style want to try again, or plans completely different? Want to try something new? Any new films coming up?
So there's no new films as of yet because we've basically been putting all of our energy into getting this film where it needs to be. So we've been submitting to lots of festivals. It's been doing really well, winning quite a few awards, and we're kind of basically trying to get it distributed, which it should be very soon, which is nice.
It should be very soon. Yeah.
So that's cool.
We've got a sales agent working on it in America. He got in touch with us, and we spoke to him a bit and stuff. Yeah, go on, take it, fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then we had another distributor contact us. It was only a few days ago for the UK and Europe as well, I think.
Yeah, so we're in kind of further talks with them. So
yeah,
we've been doing a lot of that. And we'll probably come back to doing more films when that's at a point that we're kind of like, okay, it's in the world now, we're happy.
Yeah.
We've been writing novels as well, which has been fun.
Wow.
That's been a bit different.
Yeah.
But I think we really want to come back to the Great Charade and actually do that as a novel, because we have a few different ideas for it that we want to change slightly. So it'll be a retelling, but a different retelling, if you like. And then I think we've always thought at some point in the future we'd like to then redo it, but with a much bigger budget. So, I mean, you probably know as filmmakers as well, you have a lot of ideas that you want to put across, but not a lot of money to do them with.
Yeah.
So I think that was always the plan, I think, for us.
Working with what you have.
Yeah.
How's that? Obviously you write novels as well. How does that translate? Are there a lot of things you need to add? I mean, have you done the reverse as well? Gone from a novel and thought, oh, we could make a film out of this. Is it a big difference there?
It's still in. Because while you were editing, I started writing a novel, and then when you finished, I was about a quarter of the way through, and then we sort of swapped over. So we ended up writing quarter, and took it in turns.
And then we kind of proofread each other's work as well, so it then kind of became unified into one kind of narrative voice.
But it's still quite a new thing, I suppose. But when we finished it and we read it, we were like, actually, this is bloody good. I really like this. So we're going to try. I mean, we are trying to get in front of like agents and publishers and stuff to try and get that published. And we've got another couple that we want to write, and we are writing at the moment. That would be very good for turning into films.
Series as well. We've got kind of
Yeah.
quite a lot of ideas that I think we've started doing some, like, as in novel writing now, because we don't want to start another film project until we're kind of happy to let that one go.
Yeah.
But all of it kind of ties in quite nicely together. We kind of just see it all as storytelling, and we can just do it in whatever medium we want. And
Yeah. You're in that episode of your life to do with this film entirely, and keeping up that kind of energy, that kind of vibe. Yeah, why not? That's a very interesting way of going about that. Still keeping the excitement there whilst working on something which you've really obviously grown very used to over the past probably couple of years, would it have been?
since we did the film, I mean.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
that was in November 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just over a year.
Yeah.
Wow, brilliant. Excellent.
So, guys, what? Because we always like to ask this one. What advice would you guys, as filmmakers, give to anybody who might be considering becoming part of the industry, making their first film, or any wisdom that you can pass down the chain? Anything you'd like to share?
No pressure.
Yeah, I suppose my advice, I don't know if you agree, you might think it's rubbish advice, but I'd say surround yourself with the right people. So if you find people that you think are really good, rather than seeing them as rivals, bring them in, become kind of part of more of a good collaborative culture, and that way everyone can, progress together.
Yeah.
And then part B, just do it. I mean, we spent ages doing corporate videos, music videos, things to raise funds for our feature film.
Yeah.
Which was, I think it was worth doing. But I think just scrape the money together and just make something. It's a lot easier to just make something than hope one day you'll make something.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would also say just have fun doing it. If you can create a set that's so fun to be on, and you're laughing all the time, and you get on with everyone, which isn't always the easiest thing to do, but it can be done. If you can do that, the end result is going to be great. Or even if the end result is a bit bollocks, then at least you've had a week or two of fun.
Yeah, and you learn things, don't you? If it doesn't work out, there's probably a reason why, and you can take that and learn from it, move on, and do it differently or better next time. So yeah, good message. Well, I mean, we are very nearly at the end, I'm afraid. It goes so quickly, and you've definitely brought that level of fun to this. How can people follow you? I know you don't like social media so much, but is there a way that people can follow the upcoming projects that you might be working on?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of on all the social medias, so we're just like hypocrites, basically. And we have a Twitter for our company, not for the film.
Yeah.
And we have our own Twitters.
Yeah,
I
we do.
never look at them. So you're Dan _Rodiax, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm Rodeo Rodiax on Twitter.
Brilliant.
Film is on Facebook and Instagram. All of the links are on our website.
Yes. What we'll do is we'll put them on our page as well. So, I mean, if people don't see it, then there'll be plenty of opportunities for them to do so. So make sure to do that.
That's a great way of doing it, actually. If you just Google Rodiax, our website comes up, Facebook comes up, all that sort of stuff, and then just click away.
Yeah, I mean, we update the website regularly with everything that's going on with the film, and we tend to put it on Twitter and that kind of thing as well.
So Rodiax.com is going to be the best place. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Yes, thank you,
and
guys.
really look forward to what you do coming up in the future.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
it's been
you.
fun. Cheers.
So that was Rodeo and Daniel talking about their film The Great Charade, which won the Best Feature Film category at our November-December film festival season.
Yeah, we've got that.
Oh, we did. We also forgot,
Hey!
as he's pointed out a few times, and we feel a little bit bad about it,
Bitterness.
that Adam was also present during this
Yes.
interview on tech. So he's a bit upset we forgot him. So Adam, apologies to you, my friend.
Albeit not on mic, but I was here,
Yes.
and I am deeply offended.
Yes.
I would also like to point out that whether it was last week or a few weeks ago, I forgot to mention that you were here.
Well, I know.
So if we're doing this now, we may as well get it all out on the table.
I think the common theme in both of these equations is that
So-
you
It's my
failed.
fault.
Failed.
Should we do? Okay, fine. For previous errors and for all future errors, I will hereby apologise. I hope you can forgive me, and I hope listeners and viewers can forgive me. It would mean the world to me. Yeah, that's my piece.
But you're an actor by trade. How do we know that's legit? And not
Well,
just an acting performance.
You don't.
And maybe just a blanket statement to say, if it helps your enjoyment of the podcast, assume that there probably is
Assume there's
someone
somebody else.
There is a
in the
third
room.
person.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we know them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might not.
I mean, sometimes there isn't, but
Yeah.
you
But the majority
decide.
of this,
It's like a choose your own
it's a game.
adventure.
We'll make a quiz on Instagram, a poll, and you can say yes or no if you think somebody else is in the background.
Yeah.
But what you'll all say yes to is another code for the week, I imagine. So your
Yeah.
code this week, and it gives you 10% off entry to our film festival, is the following: WDPODRS287. That's again, WDPODRS287.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Stick around for next week, where we have another episode.
That's good. That's
Yes.
a good tease.
Yes.
If that doesn't bring people back, I don't know what will.
No, actually, next week's really good. If I'm right, it's Teddy and Minson.
Yes.
It is Teddy and Minson, who are, well, they open our eyes to many things, and I think you'll really enjoy listening to them. So, yeah, see you then.
Take care.
Bye.